moving on to South Africa, we showed you some of the disturbing footage earlier. The scale of the violence and destruction is quite astonishing. The unrest escalated with the jailing of former President Jacob Zuma, but the pandemic, the lockdowns and all the hardship are also fueling tensions. Let's have a look at some of the unrest. Well, we're showing you the footage. So let's cross now to Cape Town and speak to journalist and Washington Post contributor Leslie Wroughton. Leslie, we are hearing now that 25,000 troops are going to be deployed to try to restore order. Have the police lost control in South Africa?
Well, there was concern. Good morning from my side and good afternoon your side. There has been concern with the slow deployment of the police and also inaction by the police, and the fact, the very scale of the rioting, that the police were just completely outnumbered by the looters. Business and business groups and opposition politicians have pushed for actually more troops to be deployed. The government has settled on 25,000 troops. So far, there are 10,000 troops on the ground. The government has called up all of its reservist force, which is around 12,000. And it seems to have helped. I would say that since, from what I have seen and my colleagues have witnessed, since the troops have been deployed, the situation appears to have been brought under control, except for a few incidents around Durban.
Now, we are hearing about food shortages and the fact that we've had not only shops but warehouses, trucks attacked, and the food isn't being restocked in some areas. Can you tell us about that? Are there actual serious concerns that there's going to be a food shortage in certain parts of the country?
There is a very serious concern about this, and some are warning of a possible humanitarian crisis, which is really strange given that KwaZulu-Natal is a breadbasket of the South African economy. It produces a lot of wheat and milk and dairy poultry. But the problem is that the N3 highway, which is the main trucking artery that runs from the port of Durban, which is, by the way, sub-Saharan Africa's largest port, has been completely brought to a standstill. So the N3, which then runs up to Johannesburg, which is the economic hub of the country, has been closed down for 7 days now. The protests started on that highway. So the idea now is to try to open up those with the help of the troops guarding areas of it, so that you can get food flowing. Farmers in the area around Durban are already throwing away. There was a report recently of 28,000 litres of milk that had to be dumped. So it's insane to think that a city would go hungry when you've got so much produce around, but they can't get it to the market. People are waiting in line for 7 hours right now. Everything has been ransacked and burned in some of the biggest industrial areas where they store the food, large supermarkets, distribution centers. These have all been completely burnt or just emptied by the looters. So there is a real threat. Even the UN has warned of a food crisis. But it feels that communities are coming together to try and help each other. And of course, this comes on top of a third wave of the coronavirus pandemic. There are a lot of people in hospital right now on oxygen. The oxygen factory, Afrex, was burnt 2 days ago. So there's also concern about shortages of medicine and oxygen for all the COVID patients.
Thank you, Leslie, for taking us through those very, very concerning situation you're facing there in South Africa. Thank you for joining us this evening.